Ticker symbol VOCL is facing some serious pressures to the downside. However, I still see in the monthly time frame that there is a serious amount of reaccumulation, right? And it's actually represented by the accumulation distribution indicator here, as well as the stochastic momentum versus money flow index. We are getting some input here as the price declines. Let's go ahead and go over the potentials now. What is up, you guys? Thank you so much for stopping by once again. This is ARCa coming at you with a VOCL, technicals, raw price action, and statistical thread of analysis on this happy Monday. Before we get started, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share the video with a friend so that you and them could consider joining our trading community in Discord called ARCa Bulls. With that said, let's dive right into the charts. Okay. So yeah, like I was saying, guys, we are looking at the stochastic momentum versus money flow index here, and we're starting to get stochastics to the upside alongside a heavy amount of reaccumulation here, and in the disbursement of returns or dispersion of returns, right, inbound is actually still rising on the monthly time frame, which is very, very curious, right? So remember, this is relative to the monthly. Okay, you guys, I do have to say that we are currently sitting at a very strong demand zone, but it is also a very dangerous zone as it would mark the monthly invalidation right over here, right? So this candle low, which you can see within these metrics right up here on the L, right? That low there, you can see to be 40, let's see, yeah, about... man, I can't see it. So 44.6, right? So if you have that 44.6 as a low and the price action is sitting at 45.0, man, that's that 450 is presenting a serious threat to the asset, to where price action can continue to the downside at least to about that 30, right? So let's go ahead and continue on the analysis here and see what else we have though, right? Because the monthly time frame is not about to close. We still have 17 days and 18 hours, which makes this support even better, right? So if we were about to close this monthly candle and we're sitting at that support and it closes below that support, that would be a very dangerous thing, right? But we're not close to that just yet, so we'll go ahead and keep an eye on that even still, okay, you guys? So now looking at the monthly MACD here as well, you can see here that even up to today, we have very much declining bear pressure, although the price action is still continuing to the downside, of course, in the immediate short term. But this is essentially starting to make its round towards an upside, of which could be faced relatively soon relative to the monthly. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the next chart and see what we have in store for the asset, right? So the 6-hour time frame here is actually increasing volatility towards the upside and beyond the 15th percentile, paired with stochastic momentum almost at a flat bottom. Okay, you guys, so that is looking not bad. If we actually just make this a little bit bigger, you can see that we're actually now getting that kink, right? So there could be a pressure to that upside. Let's see just how far we are at the downside here, historically speaking, right? So if we look back in history, then there are a few iterations to where we have gone significantly lower. For example, here, right, we've gone to the 2 percentile, right? So just so you can see that there is still a potential that we can drop a little bit further in the shorter time frame. This is a 6-hour time frame, right? So let me actually see what the 4-hour is saying. Interesting. And the bi-hourly upside too. Yep. And the hourly upside, okay, so it's still consolidating. All right. Yeah, so we're still consolidating a little bit. I would like more of an aggressive upside on the 4-hour in order for us to consider that this is actually starting to reverse finally in the short term, right? But it's okay. It's just all of these signals at oversold are suggesting potential floor found soon, right? So remember, soon relative to the monthly here. We're looking at the macros because that's where we have supports. We have the supports at the macro timeframes. This right here, this is October 2022, right? And then the support levels that we're looking at historically all the way back there years ago, right? So we want to make sure that we can keep an eye at least on those things. Another thing that we can look at here, actually, now that I'm kind of looking into this right now, I see a dead cat bounce, right? So we have that downside capitulation and the dead cat with a bounce all the way to that downside, right? So let's go ahead and take a look at what that potential can be as far as support, right? So I actually could see that this may be, I mean, there are two areas here that I'm going to take into consideration. So it's going to be a range of support just like this here. We're going to take a price objective. right? It's going to be a psychological price objective because it is the formation itself. It doesn't have any mathematical properties or anything like that. It's just for us to kind of evaluate, right? So, and then we're going to take a trend line from the top side of that dead cat bounce, and we're going to apply it to the very bottom side of that support, actually to the top side of it, right? So right around there. Okay, so now we can apply this to the bottom side, right? So you can see here that the price action is implying that we would essentially go to that 40, to the 41.8, right? So if that is the case, then you know that we still have a little bit more of a downside. Let's go ahead and take into consideration the secondary target, which would be down to here, and then we would apply it right below that support. And this is rhyming with that. Well, it's actually 38. It's even still the upper 38s, maybe close to around 39. Right, so that could be a zone to where we could find a very significant bounce, right? So I'm not saying that it's going to go there. I'm just saying, I'm just kind of giving you how the properties as to how to trade a dead cat bounce, especially on the 6 hour, right, you guys? So that could be an indication of a continuation to the way down, but facing a very serious bounce too. Let's go ahead and continue to see if we can validate anywhere within that. Another thing to look at here is on the weekly broadening descending wedge here. You can see that we're approaching that bottom side of the weekly falling wedge, right? So let's go ahead and see what that bottom side can be, right? So if we face the support of the falling wedge, it's taking us to about 42. It's taking us to about 42.40. Right, so if we get that 40, if we get that 424 right down here, you guys, that's very similar to the targets that we're looking at for the dead cat bounce at around that 40 level. Right, so let's go ahead and continue on the analysis here, and this is actually, I'm going to have to redraw this and see how this is actually playing out now, you guys, as I could have been, I'm not sure, oh, right, maybe. Let's see if we can actually kind of squeeze that in ever so slightly here, right? So as you know, as we get the new lows, it is starting to favor some new targets and new potential support touches that we could have, I don't want to say missed, that we couldn't have seen before the price action continuing to the downside, right? So now if we were to face the support from this descending channel, which by the way is a bullish formation, it would be down to this. This is the 12-hour time frame. So let's just assume that we would get that support touch at the very bottom side. Notice that support touch is landing right at that 48, right? It's 408. So it's rhyming as well with all of the other time frame downsides too. Right, so another thing that we should keep into account here is the volume. So let's go ahead and just lift the visibility on the green volume ever so slightly here, so we can see it down there. And you can see here that there is a clear indication that there is declining volume with declining price action as well. Right, so that usually indicates that there could be some loss of strength for the bears, but that is relative. Okay, you guys, it means that we still need another 12 here, another 12 there, particular to the 12-hour time frame. Okay, you guys, so let's go ahead and move on to the last part of the analysis, which is going to be the RSI. So okay, all right. So the 30-minute time frame and the 4-hour are showing a very interesting upside. So this could be temporary. Okay, so we are facing a breakout out of the SMA 14 on the 30-minute, right? So the SMA 14 represented by the pink line, the cyan line, the blue line here is actually the RSI signal, and you can see very clearly that it's actually upside of the 14-day simple moving average, succeeding that upside, right? So this has an upside continuation suggestion, and that paired with a 4-hour. I'm actually a little bit curious here because we do have that SMA 14 landing in the gravitational zone of the bear weakness percentile, which we can face actually a resistance touch and a continuation to the downside, which would actually present some consolidation even still. The 8-hour time frame is not against anything. Actually, this is consolidation still. Moving up to the daily time frame, of course, it does have a downside continuation, and in fact, it's in the gravitational zone here. Very likely it can continue to the downside, which is why we're looking at that target of about 40 to about 42. And man, I mean, I know it's just a ridiculous downside, but as you see this bi-daily and the 3-day and the 5-day, you can see all of them are kind of sideways here. So that's indicative of the larger time frames kind of waiting for the influence from the shorter time frames, right? So we need to get these shorter time frames to have very aggressive pivots to the upside so they can start cascading into the larger time frames, right? But like I said, VOCL is still it's still reaccumulating here, and it's very clear on the monthly reaccumulation index, right? So we are definitely getting a reaccumulation phase right now. Money flow is actually increasing to the upside. So I don't know what could be happening within this asset, but something could be brewing here for the relevant future. Okay, you guys, please remember first and foremost that I am not a financial advisor. Take whatever I do show and iterate within these videos as just a form of entertainment, as I cannot suggest for you to buy, sell, or hold any assets whatsoever. I need you to do your own due diligence and everything will be cool. But with that said, I wish you well, a very, very good night, and I will catch you at the bell mañana. Adios.